You want to fight crime? Let's get dangerous.
And yes, it is. It is showtime once again. It is Saturday evening about 9 p.m. and it is time for another episode of From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher. I'm your host, Joe D. McPhee, and we got pretty much at least a 1 hour show, maybe a little bit more happening tonight here. So nevertheless, let's go ahead and get the business ends of things out the way already before we can get started here. So we got Stupid O'Clock still happening 1 hour into our show here. If we go into our second hour at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, that is followed up by Last Man Standing at 1 a.m. Then you get a little bit of a respite for Nicholas Tucker and Nevermind the Furthermore at 10 a.m. Eastern on Monday. And yes, there will be another Comic Book Spectrum upcoming this Thursday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. And pretty much that is it here. And for those who are watching Comic Book Spectrum on YouTube over this past Thursday, and you're wondering what happened, why did the show get cut off, and why there was no imprint on the channel for this particular episode here, it was mainly due to the fact of what we actually streamed on that episode when we were highlighting cops fighting crime in a future time. It got flagged for copyright reasons, and it's perfectly okay. You know, that was kind of it wasn't a complete mistake. It was more along the lines of we didn't provide enough commentary, where it became more, instead of becoming more of an educational feature for the show, it became more of a viewing. And that's what they flagged it for. So it was a-okay that they flagged it and everything here. Like I said, it's more of us dropping the ball more so as far as not providing enough educational commentary on that particular episode, because I believe Elaine has never seen cops in that duration for that long here. And Cliff didn't have too much to say, and I just didn't want to ruin the episode for them to explain all the different characters and everything to that magnitude. So that is on us here. I will try to get a edited version of that of this past week's show back onto the YouTube channel here, where we should be a-okay with the copyright strikes and everything to that magnitude, because we want to remove that portion of cops fighting crime in a future time, the actual viewing in that aspect here. So nevertheless, that's what's going to end up happening shortly here, once I have time to do some post editing. One of the reasons why I do more live streams than actual videos is because I hate post production. I don't like the editing aspect of a lot of videos because it takes a lot of time to do excellent editing. But nevertheless, it is necessary for that particular episode of Comic Book Spectrum here. So we do apologize for that inconvenience here. And we wanted to let you know that if you wanted to watch it here in its entirety, you could either go out to Twitch. I don't think Twitch has flagged it, or you could go out to CGC Studios Facebook page and watch it directly from there, the full unedited version of it. But we will try to get the edited version of that episode back out onto YouTube here shortly. With that being in mind, we're going to go ahead and get into new comic book pickups for the week here. Hopefully, everybody is going to like what we got. We got a pretty, it's a decent stack here. When I say this is decent stack, we got about like that many books to go through here. So without further ado, let me I'll grab that box a little bit later to put these in. So we're going to start off with Showcase 86 number 8, which is the first appearance of Linda Danvers, Supergirl. So Linda Danvers as Supergirl from that point forward her first appearance was in Showcase 96, issue number 8. And we're going to follow that. Well, actually, I'm going to put that with the rest on because I have a whole bunch of those. Have a whole bunch of those to go through here. So we're just going to do that in one fell swoop, and then that way we don't have to kind of have repeats here. So we're going to move that down further into the stack here, and then we're going to follow that up with Lois Lane, issue number 65. So that came in this week here. That's a pretty nice book. And I think I'm getting closer and closer to getting my first full run of Darkwing Duck from this particular series of Disney Comics here. This is issue 2 of 4 of Darkwing Duck. It's pretty nice. It's a nice little copy of that here. And then we're going to follow that up with from ARG Comics, Desperate Times. This is one of the few books that I'm going to probably end up reading shortly here. And for those who have been paying attention to my creative career here, I finally got one of the missing issues in this particular series that I've been looking for quite some time. And when I say for quite some time, I mean, this goes all the way back to like the early 2000s here. I got Ogenki Clinic Volume 4, issue number 3. And for those who've been following my career on with comic book creations here, Ogenki Clinic was part of my inspiration for doing Legends of the Giant Slayer. So this is kind of like, this series is kind of important to me. No, my series is not anime manga related, but the storytelling and the type of stuff that you will see in this particular series is what inspired me to do my first more adult title in that aspect here. And then we got Rima the Jungle Girl issue number 1. We have that came in this week here. And then we're going to follow that up with a Lois Lane. I believe this is issue 135. There it is in a nutshell right here. Lois Lane 135 here. Got her tied to a truck going off a cliff, and Superman is pretty much saying, it's like, well, you wanted to be with me to the end, Lois, and this is it. So long. Him being a mega super jerk again. But that's what makes, the Lois Lane books kind of fun back in the day here. And then we got a Silver Age Avengers number 87, and this is the origin story of T'Challa, the Black Panther. So we got that as a whole here. It's a little bit of chipping at the very top, but it is still a solid copy of Avengers 87 that came in. Then we got another copy, China number 1 and China 2 number 1. Even though they were both one issue series nonetheless here. We got another couple of copies of that. Then we got from Epic Comics, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs number 1, which is pretty nice for those who like Xenozoic Tales. This is kind of like ongoing set for Xenozoic Tales. And then one of my personal Grail books finally got here. I've been trying to search for this for quite some time, and it came in some pretty good condition here. And that Grail book is Archie's Pile Jughead 84. Then why issue 84? That is this issue has the first appearance of Big Ethel. So, his main so-called love interest first appears in Jughead issue number 84 for the very first time, Big Ethel. And welcome on in, Elaine. How's it going? Oh, yeah, T-Rex. Yep, T-Rex is in the house with the Cadillacs and dinosaurs. Then we're going to follow that one up with a couple of issues of Etrigan the Demon, or back in the day it was just called the Demon, but it's Etrigan. Issue number 13 from the original Jack Kirby run. And then we have issue number 9 from that run. So we got those two, and then we got another issue of Rima the Jungle Girl. This is issue number 7 of Rima the Jungle Girl, which is pretty nice. And we're going to follow that up with Catwoman Annual number 1. This was definitely one of those annuals. I'm not a big annual collector, but this is going to be one that will fit nicely in my volume 2 collection, because I think I have a couple other annuals from that run. But I never was a big annual collector. We got another copy of Wonder Woman 764. I believe this is from volume 5. So Wonder Woman 764, no big to do for that. And then we got another copy of Uncanny X-Men 403, which is pretty nice here. Oh, you haven't read Rima in ages. Wow. So Uncanny X-Men 403. And then I was able to get my hands on one of these Dynamic Forces with the COA of Barack Obama. With this is the Dynamic Forces, signed Dynamic Forces copy here. It's pretty nice. And then we got X-Men Unlimited number 11, which is pretty nice here. And then we're going to follow that up with a Spider-Man Family Amazing Friends. This is the more modern day take of Spidey and his Amazing Friends here, but this is Spider-Man Family Amazing Friends, the all ages one shot here. And then we got another copy of the A cover of G.I. Joe number 1 from Image Skybound. But if you paid attention to all of our other from the new comic book pickups of the week, we had a copy of that here. And then this is my very first copy of Red Sonja Age of Chaos number 1 from Dynamite. This is a new series here. I haven't really been following Red Sonja up under the Dynamite imprint like I used to. I don't know. It just seems like the product changed too much when Dynamite took over. It's like the stories and stuff just hasn't felt the same, more so than anything else here. Then we got New Mutant Special number 1. It is pretty nice here. It's a nice, good copy of New Mutants Special number 1. That will go nicely into the collection here. And then we got Cinder Annual number 1. Now, I am not familiar with this character. This is like one of my free books that came in with the stack that I bought here. So I find that pretty nice. And this annual is a 1 of 1. So it's kind of nice that I was able to get that. Then we got another Tribe number 1. I think this is like my 4th or 5th Tribe number 1. And I believe that this is, I want to say this is Uncanny X-Men number 1, volume 6, and this is the Negative Space Jubilee cover. So that was pretty nice here. We're going to cover like a lot of different gambits of issues here. And then we got Drama number 1 from Sirius Comics. And for those who follow Dawn, which is one of the characters that I just now finally getting a chance to start to research and everything, we have issue number 1 of Drama, as well as the Convention Sketchbook of Dawn number 1, which is pretty nice here. Do you sleep? So we got that here. And then we have another Lois Lane here. We got Lois Lane 56, where they're up here drawing cards to see who's going to date who. You know, is Lana going to be dating Superman, or is Lois going to be pursuing Superman while they have Ideal Man in the background? So, yep. And then we got another copy of FemForce Portfolio. I believe there's a FemForce Portfolio number 1. Yep, that is correct. FemForce Portfolio number 1. And then I finally finished my Black Phantom collection here. So because I finally got my Black Phantom number 1 from AC Comics. And then we got another copy of the first 3 issues of Americomics again. So we got issue number 1, issue 2, and issue number 3. So that's like my second copy of those 3 here. I don't have a full run of Americomics as of yet. I think I'm missing like only issue number 5, but we're getting there. Now, for those Vampirella fans here, I am getting closer and closer to completing my run of Harris Comics Vengeance of Vampirella's run here. So we got issue number 7, issue number 8, issue number 9, 10, 11, 12, and 15. So that's a good little run of Vengeance of Vampirella. And then, long story short, we got Black Pearl number 1. Now, I got the second issue of Black Pearl coming in the mail here. I just picked that up off of eBay. Yep, Vampy. Yep. I finally got the issue number 2 of this series coming in the mail. This should be here probably within like the next week or so. But now I have that with issue number 2 coming in the mail, I will have the full run of Black Pearl. Now, surprising enough, this underground comic surprised me here and was quite interesting here. And this underground comic is called Super Bitch number 1. And was only a one-shot type deal, but this was like one of those underground adult comics that, and it's like wasn't adult as far as like, oh, it was only about the adult situations. It was an adult story that had a lot of themes in it that worked well for what it was trying to portray here, and it was an interesting read. It's like it was one of the few books that when it finally came in that I actually read through it here. And it is, I got it for pretty cheap because of, if you can see, it's like the top of it is chipping and stuff like that. So it's not a bad copy, but it's not the best, most pristine copy. And when I finally looked this book up, this is not a cheap book. It's not a cheap book by no means here. So this was kind of like, you know, one of those hidden blessings type deal for the amount of money that I paid for it, to find out that to get like a more pristine copy of this, we're looking at, somewhere about like over $100. And I got this for a lot less than that, a hell of a lot less. And then our last set of books here is getting closer to a complete run of the series here, but it's a nice chunk of it. And that is All New Wolverine, which is the series that features Laura Kinney as Wolverine, starting with issue number 2, issue number 5, 7, 6. I don't know why 6 and 7 was out of order here. So 6 and 7 was out of order. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. This was the 24 that came with the set. And this was the 24 that I put towards the back here that was in the stack earlier. So like I said, it didn't make any sense to introduce issue number 24 earlier when I had a whole stack of these to do here. 25, 26, and 27. So it was a nice, pretty decent stack of all new Wolverines that came in here. And that's pretty much new comic book pickups for this week here. And hopefully everybody enjoyed the new pickups. I know I got a lot of reading to do between now and C2E2 and trying to get things up and ready and going and everything to that magnitude. But that was a decent stack. I'm happy that these books came in, especially that Jughead 84. I would like to get another copy because I would like to preserve one for prosperity, and by encapsulating it. But when it came in, I read it and I enjoyed it. The very first Big Ethel story, it's kind of bittersweet because it was one of the few stories that featured her, Jughead, and Dilton. The story had nothing to do with none of the main Archie characters. It was pretty much Dilton created this machine that was supposed to scientifically predict love interest. So him and Ethel kind of worked on it and everything, and Dilton's machine picked Jughead for her. And everything was kind of like she's up here, it's like Happy was trying to tell our guy Foresight, aka Jughead, about everything that was going on and how they say based upon science that they was perfect for one another and everything to that magnitude. So they went back to Dilton, and Jughead convinced Dilton to look over the machine again and this, that, and the other to make certain that the results were right. So they looked at the machine goes haywire. It kind of like stops working, but it did produce a result on the second time around. And Dilton comes back and says, it's like, yep, the machine says, you two are a perfect match. And then by the time, at the end of all of that, Dilton admitted to himself that he couldn't bring himself to tell Ethel the truth, so he lied. he lied to keep things going in that aspect here. Yes, I'm going to mention that. I just haven't got around to mentioning that here. Another reason why tonight's show might be shortened is because I will be live back here on the YouTubes for the Multiverse fundraiser here. We're doing the Multiverse fundraiser, being done by Kelly Gutner of the Phoenix Sisters here. And what the Multiverse fundraiser is that we do kind of like an online comic convention panels for Comics for Kids. And if you haven't heard of Comics for Kids as far as the charitable organization, where have you been? This is one of those charities that does wonders for kids who are very, very sick in the hospital and everything. And what they do is that they provide things such as comics, graphic novels, and other reading material to kind of help ease them through some of their most traumatic times of being in the hospital, help inspire them to be superheroes in their own right while they're going through like their different medical procedures and everything to that magnitude. So I'm going to be a part of a panel that's going to deal with comic books that inspires hope here. And I hope that you guys join us here on the YouTubes at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time on tomorrow. It won't be on this particular channel here. It will be on the Phoenix Sisters channel. They are the ones that's hosting this year's multiverse fundraiser here. So I hope to see you guys there on that aspect here. But before I get even further derailed off of the scheduled programming here, we still do have to do the due diligence about the collector's update here. And as always, no real updates for the Film Force here. However, we have made some significant significant changes for the Uncanny X-Men here, which again, once the books have arrived, you will see how this list have dramatically changed here. Oh, we have done some dramatic changes with volume 4. So be looking forward to that within the next couple of weeks here. The X-Men, not so much. Mr. Miracle, we're still missing the same 3 issues. There has been movement in the Wonder Woman update. So the magic number will be changing within the next week here when those books comes in. And there has not been motion as of yet because I'm still waiting for issues from volume 5 and volume 7 to come in. There has been a couple of issues for the Matty Franklin volume that's going to arrive, but there hasn't been much motion on that. But we're getting these volumes kind of updated, cleared out, and having full runs here within the next couple of weeks here. So stay tuned on how things are changed and everything. And like I said, these are just like the major runs that I'm worried about as of right now. There's other runs that I've been trying to collect. As you can see, like we have like things like all new Wolverine. Squirrel Girl is another one that I'm almost finished collecting and everything here. But those are secondary type deals, unlike volume 1 of Wonder Woman. That's going to be kind of like my focus for right now. You know, the tail end of X-Men, if I could find them cheap, I'll buy it. If not, so be it. The other X-Men, the second X-Men series, it is what it is here. But that's the primary focus of the updates and collecting side of things here. So on that note, I'm going to combine the production update and our tonight's topic all in one fell swoop here. Why? Because they kind of relate to one another. Production update and tonight's topic. Tonight's topic is, I mentioned, ISBN, AI, and hard work here. ISBN, what does that supposed to represent? I remember not too long ago, and for those who've been following From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher, we made mention about a partnership. And we had a partnership to produce a role-playing game. Over the last couple of days, we finally got our ISBN numbers here, and we're getting closer to releasing the core manual for that role-playing game for one of our favorite comic book titles here. And that is for Primetime Saturday Night. Yes, Primetime Saturday Night does have its own role-playing game coming out here. We got our ISBN number. We just have to find a actual printer and do the final edits and everything. And it will be coming to you guys here shortly. The asking price for the core manuals has not been determined as of yet because I'm trying to keep the price down for the core manuals here. So as of right now, I would say something around the lines like the core manual game, if you want the paperback version, it would probably be somewhere about like $25, and the hardback would be closer to $40. And I know it sounds kind of steep, but I have to look at price per unit for cost of each printed item here, because we have to do price per volume, meaning that if it costs us, you know, let's just say if it costs us like $20 something to print, we probably, you know, put it at like a $25 to $30 price point just to be able to make a little bit of money off of it. And then if the hardcover is somewhere about $30, it would probably be like a $40 type deal. So we're not trying to, you know, really price gouge people out of a whole bunch of money. You're really not paying too much over print costs for buying the actual core manual to be a part of the game here. Yes, I went to Bowker a couple of days ago, and I got the numbers now. And when I say I got the numbers, I got several numbers that I could apply. I could apply for here through Bowker now. So it's just a matter of getting, and for people who don't know, Elaine is one of our editors here at CGC Studios here. So she is aware of it. She got a sample of the role playing game, which I think she haven't played here. No, it comes with it. I bought all of it. I bought it in bulk. I bought both of them together. I bought both of them together. And if it's not, if the barcodes are not together, then I only thing I have to do is just go out to USGS GS1 and just apply a barcode from there over to the ISBN number from there. So I never worry about the UPC code. The UPC I don't worry about, not as much. I'm going to have to recombine it because I did my research, because I was about to ask you, it's like whatever happened to the sample that I sent to you. I found the sample, but yet the sample was even incomplete because I'm looking at more information that I put into it and everything. Well, first I still have to apply the titles and which version is to which book first before they generate the ISBN. Well, actually, let's show some of the people some of the behind the scenes since you're bringing it up here. Since you are bringing it up, and I'm not one for really like being like keeping secrets. And you know a lot more than I when it comes to actual book publishing. I know comic books, but I don't know books like that here. So as you can see, I have 10 more ISBN numbers that I could use here, and I could upload the information and get the barcode if need be from them. I don't have to because I got somewhere about, I want to say like 40 something more barcodes that I could get from USGS1 that I already have access to. I haven't used up my 100 barcodes from them as of yet. My major concern here was just the actual ISBN 13 number, because I got actual barcodes from them. So, that's the kind of like the major thing that I was looking at when you made mention of getting the barcode with it. It's like, if I already bought like 100 barcodes from USGS1, why am I going to buy another barcode from Bowker? It doesn't make any sense. I should be able just to apply that barcode from USGS1 with the Bowker ISBN, and we're good. And okay, now she began to understand. Because I was about to say, it's like, if need be, just to show you what I was talking about here. Or I got it. I don't know why I said it backwards. It's GS1 US. That's where I got my barcode numbers at here. Okay, so pretty much just to let Elaine know about what's really going on here. I have all of my barcodes listed here from GS1 US here. And this is where I have all of the barcodes and everything for all of our comics and everything. So it's just right now I could actually create the barcode numbers for the books a little bit later using the barcodes that I still have left here. And as of right now, I was like, I forgot, I can't see the actual number that I used up to this point. I only used 43 out of the 100 that I have here. So yeah, we're good. We're good barcode wise. We're very good barcode wise. Yeah, I bought mine together because I need both. Amazon ISBN and barcodes are only things for they to print themselves. Yeah. I also was looking up Ingram Sparks here. I was looking up Ingram Sparks just to get a kind of like the idea. So that's the reason why I was mentioning that, the price point might be anywhere between like, 25 to $30, $25 to $30 a pop based upon hardback or paperback. So Ingram Sparks is saying that I can't do well. I have to get the final page count because I was looking at 150 page count. I don't think our book is going to be 150 pages, but we got to take a look at total page count and everything to that magnitude. So that's what's really actually happening. That's what's the ISBNs and all the other stuff here. So we're making serious headway. Where if you have never printed a book or a novel before, if it's not like a vanity project type deal, and you're trying to print it for actual distribution, a lot goes into it. It's like I need to get the book and cover updated, and I will be good to go. Okay. Yeah, that's the thing that I'm learning here. But I'm kind of pricing out everything without having the final edited interiors known as of right now, because I'm going based upon like 150 in my head, but I think it's going to be way less than 150. It'd probably be somewhere closer to like anywhere between 80 to 100 pages. But we'll cross that bridge when we cross that bridge. But I'm getting an idea of what we're looking at for price per unit, because I know with Primetime Saturday Night and Amazonia and all the comic books, we're probably breaking even on print cost plus, a couple of pennies on top of that. And when I say a couple of pennies, I mean literally a couple of pennies. That's like, I think we're, our price point as of right now is somewhere about like anywhere between like 15 cents to a quarter a book with the current price points that we have the stuff set at as of right now. And even right now, I know for a fact Prime Time Saturday Night is a little bit of a loss here. It's priced at a little bit of a loss only because of volume. Doing it print on demand is killing us a little bit. Yeah, they insist on all your files being ready to go. Yeah. Yeah, so that's the reason why I'm not really like, going like go baby go right now. It's like I know we have to get that book edited. We have to make certain that everything is formatted correctly. When we go to print, we're going to do, we're going to start off with one to see what that looks like. And if we have to make changes and everything, we're going to make those changes. But when we're ready to send it out to really distribute to the public, we're going to hit the ground running. We're going to hit the ground running. And surprisingly enough, we're not going to do this via crowdfunding. We're not going to crowdfund it. And the reason why we're not crowdfunding it is because I truly believe our audience here on YouTube and on Facebook, DeviantArt, and everywhere that we have a presence at really don't focus in on crowdfunding platforms like, Kickstarter and Fund My Comic and all these other places like people think that they do. And besides, we have established primetime Saturday night enough where the people who love the comic book might gravitate towards the games. And with the help of YouTube, we could start talking about that and get this game in the ears of those who like tabletop role-playing games. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed on that aspect here, that we don't have to go the crowdfunding route. But that's the ISBN portion of tonight's topic here. The AI and hard work is more or less of kind of like me ranting a bit. And the reason why I'm saying that as an aspect here is because over the last couple of weeks here, I'm just been, I hate to say it, DeviantArt as of right now has been inundated with a lot of people doing AI art, whether it be video or imagery. Not to say that these people are not putting in work using these AI tools. It is not the same. And the reason why I say it's not the same is because things still look too similar. And it's easier to catch mistakes. And it just seems just like really, really, kind of like one of those things where when you understand how art technique works and you see compositions, especially produced with AI tools, and you see that the person who using the AI tool does not have a background in the art aspect of it, it plays a major role where it's like it looks good to them, but when it comes to a person like me, it's like you could have done better and you could do a lot of things better here. Yep, rant. Yeah, I get a ton of commercials for that AI software on my feed. Yeah. I mean, it's different AI software and everything. And I've been seeing people do video on it and all, videos and all this different stuff. And yeah, it's nice for that quick little hit and quick, videos of things that may seem like it's good. But when you look at it from a more professional lens, especially from the artist, cinematographer, or editing end of it, you find all these different fine points where it's like, nope, that's a mistake, that's a mistake, this is a mistake. And you can say it's like, yeah, this was generated by AI, as opposed to, okay, this was an editing mistake by somebody who took the time to do the work. And it's really, really getting messy in that aspect here. It's like, yeah, these guys don't have a background in writing or film production either. And that's the thing that I was talking about, reason why I say AI and hard work. Those who have that background in writing, film work, cinematography, art in general and everything, when they use these AI tools and get good at it, sky's the limit. But the problem that we have as of right now is it's kind of like a twofold thing. We got a lot of traditional artists up here, having the no AI art. We should not be using AI art, blah, 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 blah. Sadly to say, these tools are not going to go away. I would advise a lot of people to at least learn them, or at least learn what they can do. I have, done my due diligence and actually used a few, but I don't use that type of artwork in my professional stuff where I do for the comic books, nor for my writing or anything to that magnitude. It's like it got even to the point where even my 9 to 5 job sent me to training to quote unquote properly use AI in my day-to-day work for them. And I'm up there like, no, why am I going to do that? That doesn't make any sense here. Why am I going to, use something that is not reliable where I'm going to have to go back and use my expertise to proofread, correct, and filter out incorrect information or bias in some cases. It doesn't work that way. So when I see artists and stuff talking about the no AI in comics and all this other stuff, it's like, yeah, that's fine and dandy to say that. But here's the problem. You're going to have a couple of people who are eventually going to have a somewhat background in art using these tools and be producing some hellified shit. If I could say it, and excuse the language, but hellified shit that will make your head turn and be like, oh wow, I did not know that this tool can make anybody's personal artwork sing in this aspect here. Now, notice what I just said here. The AI tool helped them produce their artwork to the next level. They're not just sitting there typing in a prompt or anything to that magnitude. They're learned the tool and learned how to incorporate it into their art. That's completely different than what we're seeing now with people who are sitting there working with prompts over and over and over again until they got something that looks professional. Big difference. That's one of the reasons why I rant about AI a lot here is because of the simple fact that even when I use it on DeviantArt just to see what it's going to be like and everything to that magnitude, I still find myself either going back using their draw tool to edit what the AI editor tried to do to try to get it to look better, or taking it out of their Dream Up app or whatever it is called, Dream Up, to put it into Photoshop to fix a lot of the different problems with it. Like I stated before, AI does not understand perspective all that well, does not understand the difference between size relationships and all of this other stuff. It cannot guarantee that when it creates a brand new person that they won't have 6 toes and 7 fingers and all this other stuff, or cut off hands, or an arm where it's like there's no hand at the end of the wrist, but the hand is on the shoulder, stuff to that magnitude. There's no way to keep that artifacting from happening. There's no true, if I could say, there's no true way that these AI tools are learning how to draw this stuff from scratch. These tools are not proficient enough to do that. What it's doing is mimicking what's already fed into it. All of these different artworks that is being fed into it. This is one of the reasons why, if you notice, I have not put any new hand-drawn or computer-generated art on DeviantArt, because if I did do that, it becomes free game for their Dream Up app, especially if I decide to keep it in, what was it called, the stash area for your DeviantArt account. That's free game for Dream Up to use to learn how to draw things better. This is, that to me is more of the concern than the tool itself. For these people who call themselves AI artists, what I truly feel is this. It's like, no, you might be a master of prompts, and that's perfectly fine. But you have to be aware that the tool that you're using is violating a lot of copyrights right about now. Unless there's some type of clause like how DeviantArt has it with where, you know, anything that you post up under stash is free game for them to use for Dream Up. You're using stolen artwork. You're not really creating anything truly brand new. You just know how to use a tool. Now, the caveat to this here is if you're using the tool and then going somewhere else to finish editing it, I give you some leeway. I give you some wiggle room about making the transition from being a promptist to maybe an artist if you're doing the editing aspect of it, because using editing tools and knowing technique to edit is a art form within itself. And I think, let's see, Elaine says, yeah, it takes much work to edit and correct the crap that is produced with AI as it does with just to grade outright. Yeah. And in that aspect, like I said, it's like that's the caveat. If you're doing the editing outside of what the AI tool is doing, it's like, yeah, I might give you that artist title because you have to understand technique. You have to understand what is wrong with the composition to fix it. But just, you know, generating prompt after prompt after prompt after prompt until you get something that is somewhat professional, that's not really being an artist. That's just being a master of a tool. That's just telling me that, you know, you're good at using a chisel because you could chisel, you know how to chisel rock very well. It doesn't necessarily mean that you know how to chisel rock until you could create a statue, but you know how to, you know, chisel a rock to make like, you know, a table surface, a round table surface, or a smooth surface or something to that magnitude. That's mastering a tool. To be an artist is like you using that hammer and chisel to make a statue of, like, let's say Whoopi Goldberg or somebody famous. That's crossing that fine line to mastering a tool to being an artist. Creating a composition from little to nothing with the tool itself. Not to say that mastering AI tools is not a talent. I'm not saying that it's not a talent. But it's a difference when you're using that AI tool for things that you have drawn, as opposed to using a tool which has stolen a lot of copyrighted assets or acquired a lot of copyrighted assets for other people to use in the guise of helping them to be better, productive artists themselves. And that's the key thing here. Yeah, also eats a ton of flesh, water, and electricity. Yep. And the reason why it eats up a lot of water and electricity because of the actual databases that they have to maintain. These data farms for those tools are massive, literally massive. And when I say massive, we're talking about several city blocks worth of server and storage capacity, where they're even up here talking about, you know, doing legislation where these server farms for these AI tools, where they could actually start, when they build these server farms, that they could actually build their own source of electricity around it. Meaning that they will have to have that they could build like their own, how can I put this? Like they could build like their own generators and stuff that's outside of the normal consumer electrical grid to maintain them. They're working on legislation on that aspect for it. So it's a lot of things that people need to understand about the whole AI and the craziness about the fear about, oh, the artwork is not good, this, that, and the other. We should not be using it, this, that, and the other. Yeah, you could go ahead and take that stand. I'm for it. I'm not going to say don't use AI in comics, because Some people going to use it in comics, and it's going to tell, it's going to show, it's going to be right there in your face and showing and be told, right there that it's like something's not right on this panel, that panel, that panel, that panel, that panel, that panel, and it takes away from the story. The quality would speak more volume than just saying, "Oh, don't put it up in there anyway." It's like, no, let them try, let them keep trying. Those who know the techniques, who have mastered these techniques, who have the wherewithal to keep up with their skills, their books will shine brighter. The reason why is because the people who are using these AI tools may not have those techniques mastered, and they're just doing what they think might be best based upon what the computer spits out for them. Which made me wanted to do the rant in the first place, because I see the lack of creativity. The more I see people who put out AI content, I see the lack of creativity. Everything kind of looks the same. It's like the look of the people, the look of the settings, everything to that magnitude is just so similar. And I kind of sit back and it's like, why is this? Is it the fact that we're getting away from creativity? Are we getting away from imagination? You can't sit there and tell an AI tool to create an alien that has this, and this, and it creates it, because it doesn't know all those steps that is needed to make an alien of that description. It would try to find its best match based upon the information that is stored within their data servers. And let's just say you put in a prompt that can't be done by that means, because the data services does not have examples of anything of that magnitude. It's very limited. This is why data brokerage is so much of a buzzword right now. This is why there's so much stuff that's going out there where people have to understand things like TikTok, things like AI. Whatever information you put out there, it's going to try to use in the guise of making it easy and convenient for people who can't. But what it's actually doing is limiting people's creativity. It's limiting actual thought process. It's limiting the need to be creative. Why think and take a pencil and paper and put something on it when you could say, give me a basketball player dunking on a kangaroo? And lo and behold, here's that image pops up, and you got a guy dunking on a kangaroo. It's like, you're not even saying if the guy was like a 3 foot tall guy or a 15-foot tall guy. There's no creativity, because it's just going to do what is the best match based upon the prompt that you gave it to it. It does nothing. It shows nothing. It limits creativity. You might think it's creative because the prompt is is guiding what you think is maybe a compelling story or a compelling scene. But you have to also be mindful is that that tool is only as good as the data that's in it. So unless there is like a big universal data center that has all the data in the world and in the universe in it, It's no way possible that you could get every possibility imaginable and generate it through this tool. Furthermore, that tool cannot create anything from scratch. That is the real one reason why AI generated images cannot be copyrighted. It's not because it doesn't lack imagination. It's not because, it doesn't produce noteworthy work. The tool cannot create anything from scratch. And by rules of copyright, the work has to have a origin, meaning that you, the creator, sat down from scratch with a piece of paper, a pencil, a pen, or whatever. Or in the case of a sculpture, a hammer and chisel, or a rock, a piece of wood, or anything to that magnitude. A painter with easel, a canvas, and paint. A writer with paper and pencil, or paper and a typewriter. It has to be created from scratch. Now, I want to dispel one other. I won't say it's a myth, but it's a misnomer. I mentioned the word tool over and over and over again. And the reason why I mentioned the word tool is because I know people are going to say, well, Joe, paper and a typewriter is a tool. Yes, it is a tool. But the tool itself does not make the work. When you look at it that way, this pen, this Post-it note does not make a doodle by itself. It takes me to make it. The AI program by itself cannot make the artwork until I give it a prompt. Now, what's the difference between the two? When I give the AI tool the prompt, it's not using my power of imagination. It's not using my individual skill. It's going out to do research on my behalf and start to make decisions on how to create an image based upon what has already been done. It's not really creating anything from scratch. It's being more of a mimic, as opposed to what I did yesterday while I was on not yesterday, on Thursday, when I was on Comic Book Spectrum, sitting there putting pencil, paper, pen, and Sharpie together to make something like this. I did not use any other form other than the pencils and inks and Sharpie to create this. Now, we could pull, we could compare hairs and all this other stuff and talk about, well, they're essentially the same. It's like, no, they're not. They're not the same. My ability to do this comes out evident on a sheet of paper. My ability when I type in a prompt in an AI tool does not show my ability to make that image that is finally generated. Major big difference here. That's the reason why the AI image cannot have a copyright. It would have been different if, for example, and I know when you buy a lot of these AI products, you could buy a license where you could have all of your artwork imported into that data service on your private data server, and you could do stuff from there with your own work. It's still not the same as doing it this way, but you get a little bit more wiggle room because you're using your own artwork in this tool and then still manipulating it to the degree to where you need to do it at. So you have to really think about it. I'm not going to talk bad about those who call themselves AI artists, but I want to put them on notice to say, you're not really an artist, you're a prompter. And there's nothing wrong to being a prompter. Now, if you have an art background and you're able to do, put pencil to paper and everything like this, or some of the other stuff that, I've been kind of like working on here. If you're able to do these types of things here on paper and then still use the AI tools, more power to you. More power to you. I will then give you your artist title because you understand what it takes to make something like this, what it makes to make that AI image a lot better in a different tool to make it really work. And like I said before, I don't belittle what a lot of these AI prompters are doing. However, I'm just amazed as far as how far a lot of these prompters are getting with these tools now. But I also see the errors within those productions too. Now, what Hollywood and stuff doing now with AI is sad. It is really sad. But that's on them. That has nothing to do with those who are in the field of artistry. We are artisans. We learn technique. What we learn still have to be passed down from generation to generation, or else it gets lost. That's the true danger of AI. Is making it to the degree where those who can create and draw and sculpt and engrave and to do all of these wonderful other things in life, those techniques are at danger, because if people flock to these tools, they will never know the traditional techniques to do it for themselves. That's the true danger. This is the reason why you never get around hard work when it comes to art. Putting that time, putting that effort into those images that we put on Bristol boards, that we put in sketchbooks, that we put into all of these things. What all the hard sweat and tears that we put into Microsoft Word when we're writing all of our documents and scripts and stories, or on a typewriter where we're taking the time to make certain that everything is nice and double spaced and typed correctly without having, the correcting ribbon working correctly. All of that hard work pays off because why? We are learning and perfecting technique, whether it be technique from yesteryear or technique that makes up our own style of that particular style of art. And that's what's being lost today. When you look back, and you have to take that big step back. When art went more and more digital, we started to lose some of the techniques of old, especially when it comes to comic books. having our good old friend Mr. Bristol board where we could go back to the artists and buy their actual artwork, the artwork before it actually got photocopied and printed and put into the actual final package for the actual comic book for the company that they work for. Finding those art pages and paying kind of top dollar for it was like a badge of honor because you got a one of one. You get to see that hard work in action. You get to see what one Bristol board can do to make a story sing. Since we move more digitally now, we don't get the Bristol board anymore. We get, what is something similar on our well, like I said, I'm one of these people. When we start using our tablets and our pen tablets and everything like this, when we start using that instead of the Bristol boards, we get our equivalent artwork done. We get it done quicker. We get it done faster. But the thing about it is that we don't get that one of one. There's no way to produce it. It's digital, which means that every time we print it out, it is literally a print. It's not the same type of art like you have with a Bristol board. It can't be. Nowhere possible for it to be. It will always be a print, never an original. When we crossed over that line, that's when tradition started to leave. It doesn't necessarily mean that we can't go back to canvas and all this other stuff. It doesn't necessarily mean that, with the photographer, a photographer could always go back to film. We could always go back to Bristol board. But the thing about it is, as we progress with technology, a lot of the techniques suffer because people will gravitate more towards taking the easier road than taking the longer one. I didn't say the harder one, the longer. This takes longer. The easy road is exactly that. Easy, simple, and quick. But learning how to draw a face, learning how to draw figures, learning how to put it on Bristol board, how to correct it on the actual page and everything, learning how to ink it without mistakes and all this other stuff takes time. It takes technique. It takes years of mastery. It takes a lot longer. So that's what we're really in danger of. When people want to say no AI, what they should be saying, learn the technique. That's why I always go back to the song, Don't Sweat the Technique. When you master art or get into the art field and you look at other people's artwork, we're not usually sweating their technique. We're looking at what they're doing with what they're doing in their style and the techniques that they use. So why are we so worried about AI? AI is a very limited technique. It is geared to those who can't or who wants that shortcut. Let them have that shortcut. Stop sweating their technique. Learn the traditional ways and you will be always able to produce your artwork, regardless of everything. We could have no electricity in the world. They can't do their artwork. But yet we could still do our artwork because we know how to use a pencil and paper and a candle for lighting and do what we need to do. It's just, it is what it is. That's the key thing here. So if anything, throughout this whole rant about AI, the one thing I want you to stick in your brain here is just that. It's just the one song. Don't sweat the technique. If you're so worried about what the tool can do and the fact that, oh, this tool is going to put people out of work, that tells me that you're not as adept in your traditional work that you claim to be, to make yourself a force to be employed by somebody. Because why? You're sweating the technique. And Elaine is saying that the problem is the folks selling the generative AI software are marketing as no technique, no experience necessary. That is true. That part is true. But that's as they market it that way, they're marketing the weakness of the generative AI. That's the weakness. One of the things that in the AI training that I went to this week here is that generative AI is really, really limited. It would have the same bias as any other person in the world. And it's just based upon how the data is presented to it. If you tell a generative AI to draw a happy person, 9 times out of 10, it will probably draw a male than a female. 9 times out of 10, it will probably produce an image of a Caucasian as opposed to any other nationality. Because again, it has a innate bias based upon the information that's there, which means that if it has more information about happy, smiling Caucasian men in its data farm, that's the first thing that it's going to go to. It doesn't necessarily mean that it can't do anything else other than that, but it has the same inherent bias as what most people would have based upon the data that it has. It will still take a person to go and scrutinize its work to make certain that the happy person has 5 fingers, 5 toes, 2 arms, 2 legs, and all the other stuff here. It doesn't give you the de facto standard, this is it, final product. It gives you best facsimile. It still takes the individual to fine tune it to make it usable. That's the thing that those marketeers are not telling people. Yeah, they're going to constantly tell it it's easy. Yeah, it's easy. But easy comes out of price. Easy comes with living still in ignorance. If you still don't know how to pick up a pencil and draw a simple circle, that's not on the AI, that's on you. And if you're an artist and you're fearing that as a whole here, that these actual generative AI programs can outdo you, then you need to get back on that drawing board and work your ass off, because it can't. That generative AI needs you more so than you need it. And that's where a lot of the people need to understand that. Yeah, it might be easy, but it's limited. It's limited to the point where it needs artists to do all of these different types of drawings for it to be better than them. That AI cannot create anything from scratch. It has no idea of how to pick up a pencil and draw a tree or a bicycle. First, it has to go out there to see what a bicycle looks like. And it's not just a bicycle, it's hundreds of bicycles. And then it's going to try to do its best facsimile of it. And that's the messed up thing here. As much stuff that people give us guff about as artists, talking about, oh, we shouldn't have to use photo reference. What do you think this generative AI is doing? It's using references from our artwork, those artists that did the stuff the legit way. But you want to put the artist title on your prompts, that you are an artist because you know how to do a prompt. Right. You big name artist is worried about generative AI because it's like it's taking my job. You know the technique how to do this stuff, type of stuff. That can't be taken away from you. How can you be afraid of this generative program that requires the need of your knowledge, your skill, and your work to make it work perfectly fine? The only thing that you have to do is don't feed it information. And trust me, generations after myself have not learned that particular aspect of AI as of yet. And this is coming from a person who went to school, got his degree in computer science, did several college courses in the subject of AI, at least rudimentary AI. We haven't gotten to the part of AI, or at least anywhere close to the techniques that we studied in college, where we're teaching computers to generate these things from the fly. We haven't taught them technique. We taught them data manipulation, which is completely different. Data manipulation is a lot different than teaching a computer a technique. It's easy to code a program for a computer to look at all this different data and make decisions based upon the data itself. However, we have not mastered coding to allow a computer to make decisions on information that it may not know, or based upon techniques to generate and formulate a true answer on its own. See, when people look at artificial intelligence, they have to come back to the rudimentary study of how the human brain works. And that's what the whole basis of AI is always based upon. How do we determine if a person is angry or happy? Just because they're smiling does not necessarily mean that they're happy. And just because they're frowning does not mean that they're angry or sad either. See, when you study the human brain, you also have to study psychology as well. And that's one of the things that computers don't do well with, because the data of emotion does not always follow a logical path. This is one of the reasons why, all of these sci-fi stories don't really add up, because of the simple fact that computers really come off more as psychopaths when you go down the route of trying to teach it about emotions. It looks at the data and it tries to predict whether if you're happy or sad, but it cannot determine if it is happy or sad, because it doesn't know. It wouldn't know. It wouldn't care. That's kind of like the same thing about we can't teach it techniques. Because if we taught it techniques and give it an apparatus, actual like arms and stuff, where we like, here's a sheet of paper, draw a circle without reference, it wouldn't be able to do it, because it has to have at least just basic knowledge. And if we told it a circle is a figure that goes around for 360 degrees. Until we describe it to it, it has no clue. This is the real reason why what we have right now is nothing to be overly concerned about. And if I would have stayed in computer science the way that a lot of my academic academic advisors wanted me to, they wanted me to go heavily into database management. If I would have stayed within AI and went for like my master's and doctorate, I probably would have been able to prove my theory and thesis correct. Well, everybody is fearing that computers will surpass us. I believe that is so false. I believe that if we get to that point to be able to program a computer in that aspect, that computers will become us. It will learn how to be exactly us. It will be able to handle more data than we can, but it will exactly be us. We would be, in a sense, actual creators of a new aspect of life, if that is if I could put it into you those terms here. But I know that's getting to like that high end sci-fi. It's like, oh, that's not going to ever happen. They go, this, that, and the other. It's like, no, just look at the data. Look at what's being done as of right now. I think computers will never get to the point of full sentience, but it would get to the point where it knows about itself enough where it would understand and think like how we would. It could process data a lot faster than us. It probably could figure out, people's motives a lot faster, but it would be us. It would have our own limitations. We're not the masters. We're not the masters of mastering our own emotions like we think that we are. What makes you think that they will be? And then what makes it even worse, we have to worry about psychopathy, them understanding stuff like pain and sacrifice and empathy. But it is what it is. So I'm done ranting for it. I'm done ranting for now. I know I put a lot on you guys on this one here, but it made me think about it. This what I've been seeing out here on like DeviantArt and all these other platforms that do allow for AI art to be posted here. I get it. I get it. It is a tool and it makes things easier for the average person to do the stuff that they always dreamed of doing. But I never fathomed that so many professionals are that scared of losing their job. It's like you never will lose your job. Yeah, these bigger corporations might not want you, but you're an artisan. You make your own way. You make your own lane. Nobody could take away your creative process. While some of these corporations want the easy method, it doesn't take away from your ingenious methods. All the time and effort and talent that you put into to create the techniques that you use to create the masterpieces that you do. Nobody could take that away from you unless you let them. And nobody can value your work in that aspect in the same way that they could treat this AI stuff. You have to look at it in that aspect here. Your work is a lot more valuable than what they're trying to make it. They're looking at process. They're not looking at the final product. Big difference. And I know a lot of the creators out there that I know that got live streams will agree with this. Your hard work will pay off in the end. So don't worry about it. Let these people take these shortcuts. Stay on your path. Do the work. Nobody can take away your accomplishments because the work speaks for itself. And on that note, I am done ranting. Unless you guys got something else that you want to talk about here. If not, I'll go ahead and we're going to end, tonight's show a little bit earlier. I'm going to give my East Coast people about 30 minutes back of their Saturday, and everybody else could go ahead and enjoy their Saturday as a whole here. But main thing here, like I said, for those who are worried about no AI in comics and all this other stuff, don't sweat the technique. Don't sweat it. Do your job. Put in that hard work. Make your story sing. Whatever people that do the AI nonsense, and excuse the language for nonsense because it is not really nonsense. They do put in some work too, but it's not the same. It's comparing apples to oranges. And the people who do it traditionally, their hard work will show. Marshmallows. Okay, what do you mean by marshmallows? Now I'm confused. Now you got me confused, Elaine. What do you mean marshmallows? Anyway, on that note, don't forget about tomorrow. I'm going to be on the multiverse fundraiser here for comics that give hope. I will be reviewing. I believe it's Amazing Spider-Man 264, the kid who collects Spider-Man. That's the book that I chose to review for the show here. I believe Elaine is going to be doing Diana Nubia, Princesses of the Amazons. Marshmallows are fluffy and tasty. I need more of them. Oh, okay. I thought you meant marshmallows as far as what I was saying about the topic here, but nevertheless, we are doing that, and I believe Cliff is doing. Oh shoot, I forgot what Cliff was doing. I want to say it's a issue of Starman, a recent issue of Starman that was inspirational. But yeah, we all picked books that give us inspiration and hope here. It will be moderated by Kelly Guthner, one of the Phoenix sisters here, who has been gracious to us here to be a part of the multiverse fundraiser for another year. And hopefully we'll knock our panel out the park like we did last year with graphic novels / stories that we love, that we can always come back to. So we went from stories that we love to comics that give people hope. But nevertheless, if you are able to catch us on the Phoenix Sisters channel here on YouTube or on their Facebook group, be there sharp at 1 p.m. and we'll be getting into it here. Else, I'll catch you guys here next Saturday. Same Joe time, same channel for another episode of From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher. As I always say, live life, grow, and be well. And we are out of here. East Coast people, enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Everybody else, enjoy the rest of their Saturday. I see you guys tomorrow if you catch me here. And Elaine is saying good night here. And I catch you guys on the flip side. Peace out, and we're out of here.